Howdy, folks. So today we're going to talk about the ISN H40 hybrid set of headphones. These guys have, and these are obviously them, they have a 9.2 millimeter dynamic driver for bass and 3 balanced armatures, of which I believe they're nulls based on the way they sound. The sensitivity is 105 dB per milliwatt. I think that's what that says. And anything else that matters, impedance is 22 ohms, so not too low. As far as the way these fit and look, they do not look incredible, and I've got the little light on them just because I should probably turn that off actually, but here, I'll do that. There. Okay. All right. So these are just black. I don't really see any, like, I don't know. Well, they're just plain black. That's it. Actually, don't even know what these are. Let's see. Okay, that's MMCX. Never actually unhooked the cable. Cable's pretty cool. It's not too stiff, silver-coated copper, standard jazz. Just in case anyone cares, the tip is like so. Yep. Chin slider is like so, not too heavy. And the splitter is like that. Pretty nice, actually. Pretty loose, though, however, as far as the slider goes. But in any case, cable's okay. I don't mind it. It's a little thick in this part, but the braiding's decent, I guess. Not too bad. I did see some little... well, I mean, there's a couple little hiccups in the braiding, but like whatever, right? Whatever. Okay, so I'll just pull off a tip so you can kind of check the bore out. The bores are not too big. They are relatively ergonomic. They fit well. I'll be honest with you, though, these are huge for having just 4 drivers, 3 balanced armatures and 1 dynamic driver. They're really large. They do fit my ears well, but if you have smaller ears, say maybe female ears, these are probably too big. Probably. And I don't see any reason why they had to do that because, like I said, 3 balanced armatures and 1 dynamic. You can fit that in a lot smaller shell. So I like these okay. They are $200. And so, well, let's talk about them a little bit. Just in case anyone cares, here is a... let's see. Well, here's the web page of them. The on Pennon, they're $195. Just in case anyone cares. And then I happened to find a graph online, which is that. I couldn't really find much other graphs. But according to that, it's something like just about under 10 dB of pin gain, right around 2.5K. The bass is a bit much, like right around the mid bass, so that's in this area. Not really my favorite signature. That's kind of a lot of mid bass, and also if you look at the bass versus the say like, well, that's supposed to be mids. This is like very high mids versus treble. So the bass is like as high as the mids. It's a lot of bass, and then there's a little peak that comes up there. I think it's around 8K, and it's slightly above the bass even. So. I'll talk about that a little bit. But anyway, there's a graph, and then over 10K, they do drop off quite a bit. And then there's I think maybe like a 14, 15K peak, and then they just drop off to nothing. So as far as the tuning goes, it's something, I mean, that is a W, sort of like, so maybe you'll call it a W. Yeah, okay. So I wanted to go over that. Well, we'll just jump right into the chart. Why not? All right, so we're talking about the top line here. This is the ISN H40 line, and we'll start with the exceptional factor. So basically, this is kind of like how much do I like these, give or take. So I like them pretty well. 5 is like averaging. Probably wouldn't listen to an average. So these are well above that. They're decent. Kind of the thing for me is that for a 7, $200, that's, I mean, it is good, but the signature is not my favorite. We'll just say that. But I think if the signature hits you in a sweet spot, they're pretty nice headphones. I don't dislike them. Then I realized, like, why can't I rate things like with a 0.5? Because Anyway, this is the accuracy, and to my ears, they don't quite hit a 7, and they're not as bad as a 6. So yeah, I give them a 6.5. So that means that I hear them as being, relatively studio accurate. Not the best. So like, let me just pull the where are we here? The graph, just so you can see that. So if I was thinking about a studio sound, I would definitely want there's my cursor. I'd want this this slope up from 1K to the peak of the mids. I want that to be a nice slope up, and there's a little dip there. I guess that's the W. But in terms of tuning, that means that when I listen to these, it does sound like the mids are dipped out a bit, like a V shape. Then they come back up, and then they go down, and then a little back up again. The high mids on this, I will call it high mids right in this area, are a bit much. They're not too much, but a bit much. So getting back to the graph or my chart, yeah, the accuracy is like it's okay. It's not the best. We'll call it a 6.5. Wideness as well. I don't find these to be extraordinarily wide. I don't find them to be super special. So we'll call it a 6.5. They're not horrible. They're not wonderful. Yeah. So for 3D, I do find these to be a little flat on the flat side. I don't know if I don't think it's actually the W tuning, shall we call it. I think it's other aspects of the way IEMs are tuned that I can't really show you on a graph or anything, but the 3D in any case is not as good as I want, so we're going to call it a 6.5. Imaging is pretty okay. It's not bad. It tends to be that, when you have balanced armatures in there, they do a pretty decent job. We'll call that a 7, which is pretty good. You can pinpoint instruments decently in 2D for sure, out in front of you, left to right, center, that kind of stuff. A little less up and down, and certainly not much in behind you. But that's sort of the 3D aspect. But in any case, imaging is probably going to be about a 7. Yeah, we'll call it a 7. Okay, so volume scaling, they're okay. They're decent. You can turn them up fairly loud. What ends up happening, though, is that 8K peak in the high mids, early treble is a bit much as you turn up. Basically, snare transients and things in that range really smack your ears hard. So 7 out of 10. Moving on, we have bass. And these actually have pretty decent bass. I was battling in my mind between like a 6 and a 7. I'm going to call it a 7. I don't prefer this tuning. It's too much mid bass for my ears. But the bass isn't lacking. I don't find it lacking in texture or anything like that. It's just a bit much. It does bleed into them. Since the mids have a little bit less energy than I like, the bass a little more, I do find it to be a little bass heavy comparatively. So yeah, 7 out of 10. For bass heads, this set might be pretty decent. Not bad. I like it more than the Thor, for instance, for bass. It's got a lot of it, and if you EQ it up, you can get even a lot more. And I don't know, I just find that the overall tonality is a little bit better than the Thor, for instance. Moving on to mids, because of that little, again, just little dip right around. Let's see if we can find it on here right about there. Come on, cursor right here. That little dip is not my favorite. The mids feel, well, actually, that's not my favorite, and this isn't my favorite either. Especially, like I said, this needs to slope up a little bit nicer with a little less of a dip right there. So I hear that as being more of a V shape. And again, not my favorite. The mids are there, but they can get drowned out fairly easily with bass. So yeah, and then also the Knowles balanced armatures tend to not be my favorite at mids at all. I far prefer the Sanyan. I should pull out the model number of those balanced armatures so folks know, but I don't have it handy. But yeah, I find the Sanyan's ones better. So 6.5 out of 10. Not the best mids. Let's move on to treble. So they tend to be pretty good. Knowles balanced armatures do great with treble, but they do have a bit of a metallic timbre and a little less of a natural replay than other stuff. But let's say below 10K, these are relatively okay. Above that, they're not. They just drop off too fast, and there's not a whole lot of micro detail energy above 10K. But below that, they're pretty decent. I think if folks would listen to this, they'd probably find them agreeable mostly. So 7 out of 10. And also in resolution, 7 out of 10. electrostatic drivers are better. I just like them better. And planar drivers, but I haven't heard any planar in-ears anyways. But well, except for the P1, I guess that's planar, which I do believe had higher resolution than these. So 7 out of 10, probably being a little nice, but not bad, not bad. Pressure buildup, they actually have a vent on them. Let's see if I can pull that up. Let's get out of this right here. So the vent is, where are you, vent? Saw it somewhere. Ah, there it is. Got a little tiny hole on the back of the headphone. So yeah, you stick these in your ears. They do actually have driver flex, but after a few seconds they do equalize out, and you get no pressure buildup. And then as you're wearing them, that doesn't happen at all. So that's pretty cool. I like that. So we'll give that a where was I here? Pressure buildup is a 2. I just add an extra 2. Isolation, not that wonderful. I don't know why exactly, but I can tend to hear a little bit more versus other headphones. Maybe, I don't know, maybe they're just not filled a lot inside. Maybe the vent does in fact let some sound in. Not sure, but not the best. 3 out of 5. And binaural, not that wonderful. I just found them to sound relatively fake. Based on the graph, I would just say because the mids are dipped out a bit in the treble, it just disappears after 10K, maybe, something like that. I'm not really a super expert at binaural, how that's supposed to sound, other than etymotic sounds perfect for me. So 2 out of 5, not wonderful. No special features on these guys. Yeah, and I just said not bad, bass a bit high, slight V shape, and what else did I say there? Flatter 3D than I like, and I believe folks would probably agree with me on that. And I actually used a tube amp just to make sure I wasn't going nuts, and nah, it's a little flatter than I like. So overall, we'll give them a total score. Includes the extras, the binaural, and the pressure buildup, 75 out of 100. And overall score of 68 out of 100. And then if we scroll up a bit, you can kind of see how that lands. We'll just kind of get it to the bottom there. So for $200, I mean, you can see there that there's some that I actually rate probably better. The Blano 3 I consider better than this. The FH3 I like better. Those are under $200. Canos Pro I actually like better. That was $200. What else is there? The NF Audio NA1 for like $170. I like that better. I'm just looking at lower cost sets. Kylan this one, HEO3. I like that one better as well. So, do I recommend these? No, I don't. I think you can do better for the 200 monies. And but I did want to go over these. They got a little bit of hype. Not sure really what folks find in them that's special. Maybe the bass. It's a good amount of bass. But no, not my favorite. So I'm gonna move on to another set. Okay, you folks have a great day. Bye bye.